Hello and welcome back to our fifth and final game here of the LCS Lock-In Finals. Cloud9 and Team Liquid have gone the distance so far, and we're a single match away from seeing which one of them gets to walk away as our lock-in champion. Throughout this process, it's important to recognize those who stepped up to get C9 on the precipice of another reverse sweep. And of course, that's got to go to Perks on Twitter. And no, I'm not talking about the C9 Perks that y'all know and love. I'm talking about Perks, who is, by her own description, just some woman in Leicester who got pulled into the hype today and shared her guinea pig, conveniently named Fudge, to support the squad. I love seeing this kind of thing happen. The community has come together to welcome Emily Perkins as a new part of the essential Cloud9 team. She has a class to teach in the morning, and C9 is going to be trying to make her and Fudge proud while she gets that well-deserved rest.
I actually can't believe that not only is this lady's Twitter tag Perks, but she has not only a guinea pig named Fudge, but there's also one that's Badger. And that's pretty close to Blabber. So really, like a slight change it up a little bit. Perks has Fudge and Blabber the guinea pigs. And that is just like one of those things that is too crazy to make up.
It is perfect, man. Maybe that is the kind of meme magic that Cloud9 needed to come back against Team Liquid, who were up 2-0 at the start of this series, remember. C9 came back looking real strong. Game number 4, I think, was their best showing of the entirety of everything we've seen today. And now heading into that 5th game, they have got some momentum, my friend.
They really do. Back-to-back wins. Fudge with his first really strong showing of the series. I think that is going to build a lot of confidence for them. And it's also now something that TL truly have to respect in pick ban. Up to this point, it's just basically seemed like, all right, put Fudge and Alfari on whatever you want, and Alfari wins. That's the end of the story. But having seen that Aurelia counterpick into the Gnar, yes, he got help. Yes, he was set up well for success with the counterpick, but he did do very well given that. And he was able to create space on the map. He was able to execute well in those skirmishes and team fights. So that's something that TL now have to take into consideration. It may change up their pick ban, and I'm going to be really interested to see if they pick Alfari's champions a little bit earlier to try to prevent some of these bans from coming through on him.
Well, we've got the Lulu banned away, continuing to make sure that Fudge cannot play that one. Senna and Olaf also banned out, remembering how successful that Sven and Blabber are respectively on those champions. Pantheon, Renekton, and Camille. Okay, they looked like Cloud9 was taking an extra second just to think it through. Do we still want to keep focusing Alfari this hard? And the answer is yes. But now the first pick of the whole draft here for TL is the Udyr.
So Udyr taken instead of the Talia this time. So they are actually straying away from that combo. It does mean that Cloud9 do have the opportunity to go towards that. They haven't been super keen on it thus far, but with the Olaf banned out, with the Udyr taken away, it is a strong option, and there are still some of those really good pairings that they could actually look towards. Kai'Sa has made it through the draft again. TF is here. They're going... maybe just going to go TF Kai'Sa, because that's been their first two a few different times. I do think it is really strong. Sven performs on this champion so incredibly well. Perks has such a strong ability to know how to play the map, to know how to actually cultivate wins in these difficult situations. And now the Talia does actually come through as the 3rd pick, so they have even more semi-global presence. You have that long-range ultimate coming in, the Weaver's Wall from Talia, to potentially cut people off up in that top lane. And this is going to make TL have to be that much more careful with their top lane pick, because Cloud9, again, now looks like they're potentially setting up for a last pick from Fudge. You have TF, you have the Weaver's Wall. Both those ultimates can come in at the same time behind you as a top laner, and there's really not much you can do to escape that unless your team is already in position to defend you. So going to be really curious to see where TL does go as far as those top lane selections.
Well, one thing that I am not surprised to be seeing is more focus on these tanky engaged supports. Both of the supports in this series, I think, are our 2 biggest playmakers in the league. And considering they both love to play champs from the same pool, both of their pools will be targeted here by these bans. Rel and Alistar knocked away, as you've got Gragas banned out here too by the side of Cloud9.
So Leona's still available. That could get banned out. Nautilus still available if you want to go for these really kind of aggressive support picks that you are talking about. The Rel worked really well for CourageJ. I mean, he's just insane on that champion, to be honest. But I do think that it is more difficult to go for those long-range engages. The Jace as a ban tells me they want to go Gnar. So I'm wondering if that's possible. You know, that is a matchup that we have seen, you know, have some success with, and Gnar was the blind pick that he did go towards last time, so that could be an option. Cloud9 here would be going support if they want to hide their 5th pick for top, and it is going to be the option. So they go to Leona, and now the question is, what is the answer here from TL? What do you go towards with your top laner? Are you willing to blind pick a carry, or are you going to go towards something more defensive?
Well, looking at the Thresh right now for the support pick, might go over to the Nautilus instead. Remember, it was Team Liquid that banned out Nautilus in the previous game. So now, what is the choice here? Do you just want to pick it up yourself? They've already got the Leona, so yeah, Nautilus locked in.
And there's a lot of squishy members over on the other side, right? Point and click ultimate from the Nautilus on Kaisa, on Talia, on TF. That is very effective on really any of those champions. It is going to be a blind GP, so that also makes sense along the lines of that Jace ban. Jace can be very difficult. Those range matchups, being able to actually take out your barrels, push you in, poke you out. We could still see an aggressive melee matchup. Oh, wow, just going straight to the Aurelia again. So he is going to look to really play this aggressive. That being said, it's more feasible, I think, for the GP to actually sit back and absorb this pressure. It can be tough to dive GP, both because of the orange to actually remove gold card if TF comes up there, as well as the ultimate under turret to try to defend yourself. This is a champion that once he gets to a certain point, GP has incredible wave clear. You really can thin out those waves and make it more difficult to set up the dives. But that being said, if Fudge can actually manipulate the wave well and have Alphari pushing out towards him, get GP into a long lane, there is the ability for Aurelia to look to these all-ins where you're chasing down the GP and running him down in these extended trades where he is not going to be that successful. You know, GP in this matchup, you want the quick trade. You just want to Q and get out, or Q and one passive auto and get out. Aurelia wants that extended fight where she can take full advantage of her passive and get these really long trades.
And the thing I'm keeping my eye on the most is one of the first things that you pointed out here back in the first half of this draft, and that's the fact that you've got Twisted Fate and Talia on the same team here for Cloud9. The roaming potential to either one of the side lanes is incredible. Even if Alphari is playing back, we know how aggressive Tactical and CourageJ like to be, particularly when Tactical is on a pick like the Samira, and there's so much punish potential there for Cloud9 with this roaming duo.
There really is. Once again, though, it's a tough Samira game. I know Tactical had a great game regardless last time around, but Leona there with the stun, the gold card is there as well. There is not the Udyr this time, so it is one less of those point-and-click stuns, but there's still a fair bit of disruption here for Tactical, which will make it difficult for him to find those full-duration ultimates where you're running through the team, you know, and just absolutely deleting people. But
well, here we go, man. Final game of the series. No more after this one. Whoever takes it is your lock-in tournament champion for the first ever lock-in tournament of the LCS. Alphari with that grasp up there to make sure he gets that quick, snappy trading pattern you were talking about. Both junglers once again running the phase rush down in bottom lane. It's Tactical with Cleanse versus Sven having the heal. Both of these supports wanting to take the Ignite just to make sure they're all prepared for that all-in kill potential. And it looks like we're not getting any delayed invades here in this game. Nobody's going to try anything cheeky in the jungle early on. Just a bottom side start for both rosters.
I've got to say, man, lock-in has just been such a pleasure. I'm loving the new format. I'm so excited that we are getting to see these incredible best-of series early on in the year. We had some really exciting, you know, best of threes. This best of 5 finals has been absolutely incredible, and I'm just really loving every minute of it.
Alphari hanging out in the brush on the gangplank. Fudge is going to step up and boop.
GP level 1's OP,
shot.
man.
Trial by fire. Yep. He's got the bone plating just to make sure if Fudge tries to fight him there, it doesn't work out too well. Fudge wisely going after the minions there at the start to get a couple of stacks of the passive, make it so he wins out on the subsequent trade. But it mostly just goes even because Alphari gets the extra parlay at the end.
Well, if he gets another Q there, Fudge is getting really low, so it starts to get dicey. Fudge is going to lose control of the wave now. He's going to get another, and that's actually 2 of his Corrupting Potion charges already gone. Alphari has used all 3, but that is going to draw jungle attention big time. I mean, if you lose control of the wave as Aurelia in this matchup, you can't play. That is actually how you heal. You have to be able to Q those minions, get the healing from that. Now Alfari is level 2, so you are not getting access to any of this because he's going to start dropping the barrel, leave it on your feet. If you Q forward, you will get barrel chained. So Fudge is going to have to take an early recall. And this is all off this kind of hidden level 1 here, utilizing the power from Trial by Fire. That GP passive is so incredibly strong. That is why Alfari is looking for this. He's behind the minion, so he's not pulling full aggro. Fudge goes past him, triple Q, stacking up the passive, gets the full Conqueror proc here, but you run out of space. He can't actually chase into the tower, and then it's about the chase down from Alfari. Proccing multiple Qs here. The grasp is active. It gets Fudge incredibly low, and Fudge is forced to take a terrible recall here at level 1. Alfari really showing his understanding of this matchup, and as a result, Fudge has no buy. Alfari's going to get a free recall and a D-Blade.
Alfari with that Doran's Blade ready to go. You can see at least Fudge didn't have to use a teleport here.
That's good.
So Fudge is still hanging in there. He's okay. Alfari walking it back up top 2.
Oh,
as Santorin invades the enemy jungle. Oh, no. Oh, no, indeed. Fudge, you are in a rough spot, my friend. The boy doesn't even have any mana. The barrels are already placed down. Alfari's going in. This is surely first blood here. Make sure Santorin slaps him at least once for the assist. He'll take the full-on kill. First blood for Team Liquid.
That is huge. Fudge in trouble early here, but man, they should have given that kill over to Alfari. That is actually really, I think, a bit of a misstep. Santorin is going to stay up there, and it's not like it's useless to have gold on the Udyr, but if you get the GP ahead in this matchup that they tried to go for that counter pick with, is Santorin just going to chase down Fudge again? Fudge is going to have to recall once more, and he's no TP.
This is a bad spot, man. Flashing away. He's got no summoner spells left and 200 health.
Oh, this is brutal. So he's trying to fully reset this wave. When he Qs back in, you know the barrel's going to land. You're slowed. You have no mana whatsoever. You are absolutely dead. I think Santorin could have just given over that kill to Alfari, get GP even further ahead, but the repeat gank makes it so tough. Blabber is going to have to come up here, and they're just going to have to try to reset the wave. I don't think that you can really stay in the extended lane now. So Fudge needs to push this in. If I'm Fudge, I'd actually be calling for Blabber to just come in and just shove in this wave. It looks like they want to try to set up for a dive instead, but look at Fudge's health. You can't actually go for it. Vulcan's here to tank, though.
Yeah, they have Vulcan all the way up here at level 3 trying to punish Alfari, but 1 versus 3, the man just stands his ground, keeps them away, doesn't allow the minions to collide with the turret to tank it, so somebody would have to take an extra shot or two just to start this. Alfari stays just fine up here in the top lane.
Yep, Fudge was just way too low. You know, he took too many Qs, he got hit by the barrel, and when you get that low prior to the dive, there's just not really any feasible way to actually go for it. And this is one of the strengths of GP, being able to thin out the wave as well. You can see there wasn't that many minions stacked up because of the additional wave clear that you have with the AoE damage of the barrels, and that makes it really difficult to actually start these kind of dives. It makes it so you have to pretty much go immediately. There's less setup time. There's more ways that things can go wrong. The wave is now pushing away from Alfari, but he has his Sheen, he has his Doran's Blade. This is not going to be fun for Fudge. You know, yes, he has the Corrupting Potion charges here, but you take a couple Sheen Grasp Qs, I mean, he's down 2 levels. Like, this is really a tough spot to be in, and this is one of those lanes that could just get out of control if you get killed.
Well, we've been focusing on top lane pretty much since the start of the game. Ever since the minions collided, that's been the story, as it was level 1 where Alfari forced the PvP. And now we don't even have the time to look anywhere else because they're right back up top. Alfari and Santorin going in. Both get stunned before anybody draws any aggro, so now the damage is coming down and Fudge is gone. It's a TP from both mid laners into the top side just to make sure, but at the end of the day, Fudge is still dead. That's still 2 minion waves underneath the turret, and things go from bad to worse for the Cloud9 top.
Oh, that is brutal. If you're a top laner, you are just wanting to go next fast at this point. You're down 2 levels. The wave is stacked. You can see that the situation is being set up for a dive, but Santorin is down on bot side, and he recognizes what is happening, but they're just too late on the play. Azir has mid lane pushed in, so the TF isn't really ready to respond. Santorin hides, doesn't go through Tri-Brush because he knows it could be warded. Blast Cone's over. Once they're behind you, you are just dead. Perkz now maybe going to get run down here. He's got no flash.
All right, no, it's fine. It's fine. Alfari's not going all the way in after him. Perkz just throwing up a little emote there. as Alfari continues farming at range, having no problems. Fudge over in the mid lane now, trying to get this man back into the game here a little bit, is at 35 CS. Now, granted, Alfari is also below the mark being set by the other farming characters on the map. Mid laners both around 60, bottom laners both around 70, but that's because there's just been so much focus on PvP combat up here in the top lane. But Fudge has quite a mountain to climb to get back to being relevant here in this game, still sitting on just basic boots and a cookie and a potion and 2 swords. So plenty of room to move up for him. 1,000 gold lead here for TL. Checking down in bottom lane, things are dead even between these two squads. You can see CoreJJ had used the Ignite at one point, but it did not turn into a kill. So everybody's sort of just patiently waiting right about now.
And Fudge looking like he wants to get level 6, maybe try to set something up. A little bit strange they didn't immediately go towards top. It feels like they're trying to push and then roam together. So they want to see if they could actually punish Alfari. Perkz does have his ultimate, but it feels so obvious that this is the play you would be going for. Because he stayed around when Perkz already arrived, it was clear they're trying to push and then roam. So you can see that Alfari is not going to stick around. He'll just take the free base, get out of there quickly. Vulcan was moving up towards top lane as well, but was actually spotted by that pink ward, and he didn't clear it out. So didn't actually check that brush over by the red buff. Blabber now showing up mid, will be spotted by a ward of his own. Both these supports out on the map, looking to get active, but it's CoreJJ who is 6. Vulcan is still sitting on 5, and if someone overextends, CoreJJ really could punish.
And you can see Vulcan there completing the evolution to the Runesteel Spalders, or pauldrons, or whatever those things. It's a weird word. I usually call them shoulder pads. As we have Team Liquid going after this topside neutral objective here, as the Rift Herald is their goal. CoreJJ is around to make sure they sweep away that ward. And with him being level 6 and having the Udyr next to him, that's plenty of lockdown and damage between those two. Doesn't look like C9 wants anything to do with this trade here, so Santorin can pick Shelly up for free.
This is a Rift Herald I like a lot more when you just don't have to commit nearly as much. I mean, they committed just really the jungler and a little bit of support time to be able to get it. Now you can see CoreJJ just running right back down to try to make sure that Tactical would be able to farm freely here. You can see the assist pings down there. Do not want to leave your marksman alone too long for any sort of potential dive, but with Vulcan still not being 6, it's not really a concern at this point.
And Santorin will pass off the blue buff back to Jensen here. Make sure the Azir's got plenty of mana to keep pushing out mid. But it's Blabber in top lane. Weaver's Wall coming around. Perkz is here too. This is what we're talking about in Champ Select. The power of the roam with these two. But Santorin is there. The deer is here. And Perkz is running away. Team Liquid turn it back around.
Got flash.
Santorin's in hot pursuit. A slap upside the head for a double kill. And Udyr is running wild on Summoner's Rift in Season 11.
Alfari played that so well, too, with the ultimate for the slow, procs the trial by fire, gets the bonus movement speed, and then flashes back towards Santorin, who flashes in to save him. That was a play that looked like it should have been a guaranteed kill. Alfari was pushed very far up. It's a 3v1 on the initial play here, but this was just beautiful. The barrel slow there, drops the ultimate, is able to flash past after he has that bonus movement speed. Then the flash in from Fudge, he gets stunned up. The last auto here from Perkz, not enough damage to take down Alfari. An absolute disaster for Cloud9, who are not able to get anything there. The Rits just get richer. Santorin now on a killing spree. Alfari getting further and further ahead. And Cloud9 are feeling this game slip away from them.
Alfari on the gangplank, despite the fact that he's GP, despite the fact that we've been following his actions the entire game because it's all been about top, it's Santorin, the richest man on the map because he's got 3 out of 4 of those kills. This Udyr is having a great early game. Merc Tread's already fully completed, going after the Turbo Kim tank next to continue making the plays, and he's got Rift Herald still with half the timer left to go for even more money afterwards.
Yeah, it's not been about bot lane at all this time. They're just farming it out there, having a nice old time down on that bottom side, but top lane is where all the action is and where TL is winning out constantly here. They've gotten that first dragon for themselves, but that being said, C9 isn't that far behind. They do still have a good 1-3-1. They do still have the ability to play the map. If they can try to get Fudge back in this game somehow, things might not be looking that bad, but it's tough because TL knows that's the game plan. So every single time they've been going up there, TL are the ones waiting and ready to look for these counterplays. And now they're the ones looking for the proactive play here. Even if you get out as Fudge, Rift Herald is available. So it should be that first turret already going down, more gold in the pockets of Alfari. And when you're this far behind as Aurelia, you can't threaten the all-in. You can't stay enough because you don't have sustain to actually live through the poke. So you just become absolutely worthless in the 1v1.
Holy cow, Shelly, stop getting distracted. None of those things matter. Ram your head into the turret. Okay. That was the most distracted Shelly I think I have ever seen. But they still get the turret up there in the tier 1. It is a 3,000 gold lead for Team Liquid. Going to make sure she gets the second headbutt here onto the T2. There it goes. And half of that turret's HP is gone. Now, Cloud9 did manage to at least steal away the red buff from Team Liquid. It is a small silver lining on the gray cloud that is this early game. So Blabber got that. Turbo Kim tank. You can see it right down there. Completed here for Santorin. So Udyr is now scarier than ever as Tactical grabs his shield bow, so he's not as vulnerable either.
And when you don't have that top lane outer, it's tough. So I think this freeze is actually really smart from Fudge. This is one of the only ways that you're going to be able to farm safely. If you're trying to push this wave up to the tower, it's so easy to get chased down in that long extended lane where you have no tier 1 by Santorin. So he will just try to set up a freeze. We'll see how long he wants to hold it. That is one of the ones that you could actually just hold pretty much indefinitely, which I think is honestly the right choice. If you can just hold that freeze, your team can survive somehow on the map elsewhere, you have a chance.
But we got a big old fight breaking out right now. Santorin going in. Vulcan probably going to go down. More damage flying out as Ven might be able to get one back. No, he will not dive into that. Santorin not low enough here. You could see that Santorin was approaching as they were taking the blue buff, but Santorin's smite was not onto the buff to steal it. It was onto Perks to make sure that he was going for the kill. This Udyr ain't here to farm camps, Isaac. He's here to farm champs. And now Cloud9 has to try to defend the tier 1 mid lane turret. Team Liquid putting some damage into that one. They aren't quite strong enough to force it down just yet.
Yeah, and this is that downside of pulling off a freeze, right? When you're that far behind, I think it's the right option still for Fudge, but your team is then sitting there 4v5 on the map against teams with hard engage options. So as a result, they do get picked off. They almost lose their bot lane tier 1. It probably is going to go down on this next wave to Tactical. They also have lost quite a bit of damage actually on this mid lane tier 1 as well. So TL getting some pretty big advantages. Solo gold going the way of Tactical here. He's going to be very, very rich. And now as they push up, they're looking for a pick here on Santorin, trying to make something happen, but TL is here in full force.
TL ready to respond. Vulcan loses half HP, but a TP is coming in from Perks to join up in the fight. Sven walking himself over, Fudge doing the same. It is a 5-man invade from the side of Cloud9. Alfari throwing down the barrel, looking for some AoE. Now he's going to be stunned, trying to wait out the CC, eating the orange at the right time. Vulcan's still going to be taken low. Shut down onto Alfari, and Cloud9 is winning the fight. Vulcan keeps on charging forward, but now Jensen goes for the ulti and gets nothing. Cloud9 take the kill, and they get everybody back out.
Nice win there for Cloud9. It was all of them committed to that fight. I feel like TL should have just backed it up. You didn't have Tactical. That's your richest member at this point, or at least one of them, as Santorin is also very, very rich at this point of the game. So really all they would be giving up is the blue buff. Instead, they tried to commit to the fight. They end up losing that kill over onto Alfari, who does get shut down. He had good patience on the orange, not wasting on the early gold card when they turn onto him. He does eventually use that orange, but everyone going over the wall. There's so much CC being layered onto him. Blabber bought a lot of time with his stopwatch on the other side as well. And then Jensen going in, looking for the big play, but the flash was available and is able to be avoided.
And since, you know, Tactical's never there, there's no way for TL to really turn the fight and go all the way in. So TL just overestimating how far ahead they were there, throws a little gold back towards Cloud9's way. C9 wisely getting out after, but now Santorin grabs the second Shelly, immediately drops it in mid lane because the Drake is spawning. TL already has the first one. They can use this Rift Herald as a distraction. It's guaranteed to get the turret in mid that's already below half HP. Boom, there goes the headbutt on that one. The rest of the squad escorting it up, trying to make sure he gets the second charge, but Vulcan with the Hex Flash over the wall wants to go for the punish. Instead, it is Vulcan who gets punished with Tactical going in there. He does not die in retaliation. The seismic shove ain't enough to get him too far forward. And with the Azir turret summoned up, TL still feeling pretty safe. Ward dropped over the wall, sees Perks. Core JJ, I don't think you're going to try to initiate on him here. Everybody else doesn't have easy enough follow-up. One of you is Udyr. And now they're pushing up onto the tier 2. Now Core JJ is going in. Now they got the follow-up. Perks with the stasis trying to stay alive, but it just gives him time to focus on the Sven instead. He gets away with 20 HP, and Santorin will not be able to chase them down. Instead, just settling for the kills they got in mid, the tier 2 turret they got in mid, and the Drake is still alive for Team Liquid to pick up as their bonus prize.
They are just taking everything at this point while Fudge is sitting in a side lane trying to catch back up. I just don't understand the initial engage, honestly, from Vulcan. Didn't really seem like there was much of an opportunity whatsoever for it to work out. You know, he went in. Again, it's a four-man play. You don't have your Aurelia there. You're very far behind. Why even look for the engage? Just hold the tower, try to play defensively there, delay the game. That is your only real chance of coming back in. Unfortunately, Vulcan did go in, did die, and then it was an easy dive for TL to pull off. They take multiple towers in that play. They're 4,000 gold ahead, 2 dragons to 0. The Blade of the Rune King is completed for Fudge, but he's still just so far behind the GP that it doesn't really matter. And the GP already has his first item completed, the Divine Thunderer. He's got his Executioners, he's got his Tabbies, and he has a Phage to boot. So you're not really winning that 1v1, despite all the time that your team is trying to buy you.
Yeah, Irelia loves to index heavily into lifesteal on top of the ability to rapidly heal off of minions that already exists in her kit. So I'm loving the Executioner's calling here from Alphari to answer that. Santorin taking the enemy jungle is the rare miscalculation from Core JJ as he goes for the dredge line, hooking himself towards the wall there, but nothing can be found. Maybe it wasn't a miscalculation
at all.
He
could have just been looking for someone in the brush.
Yeah, could have just been aiming for somebody in the brush. I thought it looked like an attempted Spider-Man, but there's a reason Core JJ's playing and I'm casting. It's because I'm bad and he's good. And now we're going to see TL continue to push up, take buffs, take control, set down vision, and make this game feel even worse for Cloud9. Yeah. They are being choked out of the rip.
Look at Perks.
19 minutes into the game. They're going after the tier 3 turret, and C9 has no response. They are just bulldozing over this.
They're just giving it up. But the question is, when do you call their bluff? When do you actually come back? Perks is not going to be recalling just yet. He actually canceled his recall. So they will send Alphari. So they do give up the inhibitor. TL do not try to go for Nexus turrets or anything absolutely insane because it is still pre-20 minutes here. But Perks didn't really get much. You know, he pushed out the wave. That's pretty much about it. They're down 5K here. I think that the tier 1 was already down. I'm not sure if he actually did finish that off on that play. So that may have been something that they did take on that. But they're clearly realizing we cannot fight. They've got to spread the map. They've got to try to peel TL apart, make them respond to side lanes, make this game go long, and try to find picks off somewhere. But Blabber may be in trouble. Yep.
Oh, Blabber, he tried to ride the Weaver's wall to get away, but now he's stuck, man. More money for Alphari. Santorin gives this one over to him. He's like, all right, sorry about the first blood. I'll give you this one for free. Now we're even, and Team Liquid's on to Baron.
I mean, C9 knows it's happening, but what can you do about it? Do you even TP? And I guess the question is, are you kind of just accepting your loss if you don't try? It feels like they have no way to approach this. Their jungler's already dead, so they give the call to give up the Baron. But when you're already this far down, giving up a 20-minute Baron, to me, just feels like you're pretty much accepting defeat. It's going to require not only incredible play from Cloud9 at this point, but it will require TL to make numerous mistakes for you to have really any chance to get back in this game, because it's even more gold, it's even more combat power with the Baron buff active, and they're going to be able to clean up more towers on the map. That top lane tier 2 is pretty much destined to fall, and you can just see that the items are coming through so quickly here for TL.
Alphari continuing that one-man split in the top side while the rest of the team's making the four-man dive here in mid. Blabber in stasis. It's only going to buy him a moment, you would think. Flashing away to survive. Getting away from Alphari's ulti there on the gangplank that would have been able to kill him. The heal also guaranteeing that he would not die to the first tick of damage from that cannon barrage as he came out of the stasis. As Perks and the rest of Cloud9 have to try to defend here. Team Liquid looking for their second inhibitor. Going after that tier 3 turret, have it below half HP. Although the health bars are a bit compromised here, TL does not want to make a mistake. They don't want to throw this back to Cloud9 after the incredible dominance they've had for the first 20 minutes.
Yeah, they don't need to rush too much. They want to keep the pressure on, though. They know that they are in an incredible position right now. So Alphari bases, heals back up. He goes for the TP back towards mid lane. He's pushing this in, and the supers have got to be answered in bot lane. So as C9 goes back to answer those, you are seeding then that top lane turret. That is just going to be gone, and Sven has got to get out of there, will escape, but now the top lane inhibitor is down as you're defending Nexus towers. Mid lane inhibitor tower is going to die as well to Alphari. Cloud9 just have no answer to anything that TL is doing right now. They have full control of this game. It's going to be a last-minute engage.
Core JJ going in, Vulcan going in, Vulcan already down, Tactical getting himself away, but Fudge is dashing and slashing around, and he's already found himself a double kill, but the rest of the fight's already probably doomed. Perk's getting away, but not for long. Blabber's trying to run, but he's the only man standing on Cloud9. Team Liquid, man, half HP left on the 3 remaining players in the enemy base. They're only up against a Taliyah that has not done much this game. Santorin continues frontlining. He's completely out of mana. Udyr is, for all intents and purposes, just a melee minion now. He's got no mana. He can't change around. He just slaps you, and Team Liquid's got to run away. Vulcan coming in with a CC onto Jensen, who just provided an excellent bait opportunity for the rest of the team to find some damage here. Vulcan wants to run away, but Jensen's grabbing a kill. Sven into the back line going after Santorin and Alphari. Here comes that big melee minion, Udyr, baby. There's your melee slap. There's your damage, and there's your kill. Blabber down to 200 HP, and he cannot keep chasing. Perks is coming around from the side, looking for the gold card, looking for the play, going after Alphari, but he eats the orange, and it's all okay. Here's the ulti from TF as the Gangplank ulti is dropped down as a place of safety here for TL. Perks gets himself the hell out of town, and TL is 14-4 in Game 5.
I respect the chase there from Cloud9. They had to make something happen, but they have lost all 3 inhibitors. They are so close to losing this game. Team Liquid is ridiculously strong at this point. 3 full items here completed for Alphari. You can see 2.5 already done for Tactical. The Udyr is almost unkillable at this point, and they are just going to push in all 3 waves, get the super minions coming in, and this early in the game, it is so incredibly difficult to actually deal with that many supers. You just don't have the wave clear because it is 6 spawning, 2 in each lane per wave. And you have to put so much focus on actually dealing with the super minions that as long as TL just corrals them in, plays safe, there's not really any way for Cloud9 to find and engage and fight past those minions.
Core JJ going right back in. Dredgeline finds an opponent, and look at that, Blabber. You got to get the hell out of town, buddy, but there's no way out. They block the roads. Vulcan's dead next. Tactical taking the kill. Team Liquid taking the fight. Team Liquid taking the game. Everybody's rooted up and beat down. Perks is your last man standing. How much longer will he stay on his feet? He's stuck back in the fountain. Jensen's going to keep him stuck there with the Sand Soldiers. They want to complete the final piece of the puzzle. They don't have enough damage for it, but who cares? It's all a formality, baby. Team Liquid, the best team in North America still, and the winners of your first ever LCS lock-in.
What a series between these 2 teams. Team Liquid dominant in games 1 and 2, but Cloud9 battling back in 3 and 4, pushing us to this game 5. They go again towards the Aurelia in the top lane, but lightning does not strike twice up there,
sir.
and Alphari was such a monster on the Gangplank. Absolutely brilliant in the early levels, right from the word go. At level 1, pushing Fudge out of lane, being able to withstand the pressure when it came up there, and TL knew they had to play around Alphari. That was the win condition that Cloud9 was going for. They saw what Fudge could do with the lead, but this time Cloud9 could just not get him to that position, and the entire game was decided around that top lane. Team Liquid well and truly had the answers this game and really are the deserving lock-in winners.
Honestly, awesome series to watch. This was a fun one. It felt like it was going to be a quick 3-0 after those first 2 games. Then C9 responding, getting the win in the 3rd one, coming back and just stomping game number 4. We head into game number 5, and unfortunately don't receive the climactic finale, but instead just an absolute crushing of Cloud9 from Team Liquid here in this game. It was theirs from start to finish. Ever since the Gangplank stood in that forwardmost bush in top lane, it was nothing but trouble for C9, and well played to TL here to become lock-in champs. We're going to break here once more now, and after we're back, we'll head over to the State Farm Analyst Desk for the Bud Light Breakdown.
Welcome back to the LCS, and what a day it has been with the completion of Game 5. Team Liquid are your first official winners of the LCS lock-in. Quite a series, though. Let's revisit that last game real quick because it had a bit of a different tone right off the bat compared to the ones prior.
Yeah, I mean, after Game 4, everyone was looking at the top lane to see what was going to happen. We got a kind of skilly match again, a lot of globals, so of course our attention returns there. And man, for Alfari, it's got to feel good. You're out of Deficio jail. You come to Team Liquid, and you get to a Game 5 in your first finals. It's the first tournament that you're in, and you're able to become the focal point of the game and really help, basically win the series for Team Liquid.
And and credit to Jungler too here, Mark. Santorin was in the top lane. Blabber was not so many times. Santorin also helps out Alfari on these waves. This was the change from last game where we were criticizing the exact opposite. Blabber was making the big first move. Santorin was not there to help out. They had a talk after the game, and this one was completely different. Gangplank online very early, and that was the biggest difference for a lot of those neutral objectives. But then Team Liquid are still so good at transitioning these early leads through that neutral objective control into the game. And you got to feel a little bit bad for Fudge, right? Because he comes off and he's like, yeah, guys, like, focus around me, pick the Aurelia again. And he was always going to have, I think, a worse time into Udyr and Gangplank anyway. But Alfari just showing off, like, his insane laning prowess. After they got that initial dive, that lane was pretty much over. I just remember watching and being like, this lane is just woof. Like, it's over. You have to get him around them. And in fairness, C9 did that, right? Like, they moved him around the map. But Alfari was still able to completely take over in team fights. He was so far ahead already. And, that also, even though we didn't really, we ended with talking about bot lane, right? And the bot lanes didn't really have as much of a focus in this, but this did open up stuff for the Samir. It opened up stuff for everyone else on the map as soon as Alfari got that far ahead that early.
I think that we can all relate to when Azale was talking at the beginning of that game, that Fudge is a newer player. We are excited to see his development, but is clearly something recognized by other teams as well as a mode of punishment. And speaking of the good play of somebody in the top lane, today it is Alfari when it comes to player of the series with a powerful showing here at Kobe. Definitely something the rest of the team capitalized upon.
Yeah, extremely well done by Alfari. I think this entire tournament, too, he's played extremely well. And that really, really is saying something because he just got over here. I remember back to the first series, Jat messaged me and he's like, hey, Alfari just got here. We only had a day and a half of scrims, okay? So, give him a little leeway. Turns out he doesn't need any extra leeway. He doesn't need any extra room. This guy was a beast from the get-go.
Yeah, and I think overall it was great to see from Team Liquid. I think everyone had like some pretty massive moments. And like you said, Santorin getting the Udyr for the jungle diff, like he was incredible all series long as well. And I think this is so exciting for the rest of the year because like neither of these teams I think are playing at their peak right now. Like we talk about Fudge improving, but even Perks has been doing better and better throughout the tournament. But I'm sure we have not seen the best of him in NA yet. So like I just can't wait to get back into it next week, honestly.
They better not be playing at their peak at the beginning before Spring Split has even started. We got international games to win, too.
Well, that's one thing that's so exciting about both these rosters. They clearly have their eyes on the prize for the season here in the LCS, but beyond, I know Alfari, I think there is an interview he did, I don't recall which one, where he said, I want to go to Worlds like 8 times in it. So when looking towards the future, Emily, and what Team Liquid were able to show in kind of really making their statement for yet another potential title alongside the other teams here, why are you so excited specifically about this squad?
I mean, it's exactly like you guys already said, right? Like, this isn't even anywhere close to their final form. Even within this series, we did see some miscommunication in team fight, right? Like, we did see someone going too far for a dive and the rest of the team not following up, and then it didn't work out and they got immediately pushed back. So I think if they can shore up those things, TL, in my opinion, already has a really strong understanding of when to push waves, looking at side lane waves, when to let someone sit back and catch it. They just had such a better understanding of how to play the map, I think. And that's no slight to Cloud9. It's just that's where they're at right now. And I honestly don't think this is anywhere near how good TL can be. So I hope to see them continue to improve.
those moments, I'm sure, will be adjusted in games to come, and anyone on the side of fandom for Cloud9 should be excited of what we saw from their evolution throughout each series. It is time for us to hear from one of the players directly, and for our Verizon post-game interview, we've got Dash standing on by with Jensen.
Thank you very much, the Tigers. Team Liquid, our first ever lock-in champions, and I'm here with Jensen, the victorious mid laner, hoisting a trophy in January, man. What's that feel like? Normally we make you wait a few months before you can call yourself a champion.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty early, but we'll take it. I mean, it obviously feels good to win, but that was a little too close for comfort, I'd say. But yeah, you know, I'm really happy we got the win in the end.
Okay, you mentioned too close for comfort. C9 really made you work for it after a hot start. It was 2-0. We were there on the precipice of the reverse sweep, just as Cloud9 had achieved in the semifinals. Were you feeling the pressure? How'd you guys ultimately deal with it there in Game 5?
I mean, honestly, I felt like we were playing better than them. You know, Game 1 and Game 2, it felt like we kind of stumped them and had their numbers. But then I think we had some hard drafts to play, and then we also made a lot of individual mistakes, which just snowballed the game in their favor. And yeah, like I think it kind of just came down to us playing better, to be honest, because like I said, I felt like we were playing better than them, but you know, in the games we just messed up too much, and they had some good plays.
Just real quick, as I had noticed a couple things across my timeline on Twitter moments after the game, your coach, Jat, tweeted out that it took him, he was sad to say it took him 5 games to realize ultimately it was Udyr difference. I mean, did it really come down to that? Was that a conversation going into Game 5? Like, we just got to get the Udyr, or what?
Yeah, pretty much. So the game before, I think we prioritized Talia over the Udyr. And then we kind of just realized, like, you know, Udyr is just, he's too strong at fighting, and it's also Jat's favorite champion, so maybe that played a bit of a factor in taking it. But yeah, it was kind of Udyr diff in the end.
Yeah, you're lucky it's a strong champion. Otherwise, he'd be inting those drafts for you. For sure. Now, whether you like it or not, there has been this conversation happening with Bjergsen exiting the league and Perkz entering it around who would ultimately be the best mid laner in North America. I'm curious, following this series, do you feel like you kick off the year as the definitive best?
I mean, I personally felt that way before the tournament started. So yeah. I hope this tournament solidified it.
Well, I'd love to hear that. But I think the follow-up question there is what it might mean, though, to have a player like Perkz enter the league. Because let's not mince words. You and Bjergsen, in some senses, longtime rivals, having high-caliber players to push each other to greatness, I think, is an important thing. Do you actually see it as an advantage to be pulling in top talent like this for you to continue to compete against and ultimately to best?
I mean, for sure, I think if there's a lot of competition in the league, I think it's all good for me and just for everyone, right? So we have a competitive region, but I think the loss of Bjergsen might actually be bigger than what we've gained in terms of mid lane talent this year at least. Because I think just from like all the mid laners in the league right now, I think I always felt like I learned more from just playing against him compared to what I've learned so far. This year.
Fair. Very fair, very fair. Now, this is a huge kickoff to the year, obviously, getting the tournament title and just having the momentum moving into this split. But it's only the beginning. And so how are you looking at the rest of the season? Because you already have this accolade. You're already expected in some senses now to be the top team. For you, Jensen, how do you compartmentalize the progress and the length of the season that is still ahead of you?
Yeah, I mean, the season is super long, right? So we just need to keep focusing on our growth as a team and how we play together. I think, so far we haven't had a lot of time to play together, but, in the end, the long-term goal is international play, right? So we just really need to be in good shape for that. Obviously, we need to think about, teams like C9, 100 Thieves, and C9, 100 Thieves, and TSM, yeah, maybe. But ultimately, I think I'm thinking more at the bigger picture. I'm not too worried about NA. I think as long as we play really well, I think we will for sure be the best team here.
you've in some senses stolen the next question from my lips in your answer there, because I was going to ask you, now that you've had your first look at all of the remaining teams, who you see as the top competition. So do you isolate it to those three? What was it, C9, TSM, and forgive me on the final one, if there was?
100 Thieves.
100 Thieves, yes, correct. Is that kind of where you think the top echelon of LCS will be?
Yeah, I think so right now. I mean, you could make a case for EG as well, right? But I don't think they had the best showing. But they're definitely a team that has potential. But we'll have to see. I think right now, 100 Thieves is the one I'm looking at the most. We just beat C9, right? It was a close series, but I believe we lost to 100 Thieves in the tournament previously. So that could be one.
Lost in group stage. The one notable thing I will mention there, just for the fans at home, is that was before Santorin had joined the lineup. So yet to play 100 Thieves with your full starting roster. My final question to you actually comes as a result of some of the conversation I heard on the desk right before this. Kobe letting the world know that he hopes this is not TL's peak, right? He was like, no, we still got international competition. Don't start talking about peak play in January. But you are a person, and Team Liquid as an organization has been in this position before. I'm talking in the 4-peat era of TL, where, again, there wasn't much domestic competition. You seemed to stomp the whole field, and so everyone had eyes on international. What did you learn in those previous iterations of TL, where you were so dominant regionally and yet didn't achieve everything you wanted to achieve internationally? What have you learned from there that you hope to apply this time around to find more success in 2021?
It's hard to really say, because what did we learn? I mean, I think we just learned that you have to be really flexible and ready for anything, really, because, when you go to international tournaments, a lot of things are going to change when it comes to the meta and playstyle in general. So I think the biggest thing for us, we just need to be ready for anything and, just be as flexible as possible.
Beautiful. Well, Jensen, once again, congratulations on the victory. Thank you for giving us a full 5-game series, a hard-fought one at that. It was exciting, to say the least, and the best way to kick off a lock-in tournament. From here, we're handing it back to the analyst desk for the Bud Light Breakdown. Jensen, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dash. I mean, they've done it. Team Liquid are officially our first ever lock-in tournament champions. Jensen as calm and collected as ever following that victory. For some context, the first time a team was able to prevent the reverse sweep from happening was in 2017 when TSM denied it from Cloud9 when Jensen was on the team, and now he just achieved the same victory here for Team Liquid. This is the first time we're actually having a lock-in tournament reach its final conclusion. Emily, I know you've had some thoughts having watched things like Demacia Cup and the way these tournaments can lead into the full extent of the season. So what do you make of what we have learned thus far and how that can get our brains framed for upcoming LCS?
I mean, I really love having this tournament as a preface to LCS. Every single player I've talked to has loved it. Like, they all unanimously are like, yes, please keep doing this, because it gives them a chance to not just figure out the meta, but I think the more important thing is you're getting like just more playtime with your roster in an environment that is a lot more serious than scrims, where, if something like, for example, this past game happens and you have Santorin coming up and Alphari's already ahead, and then they get that kill and Alphari's, just mega ahead, you might end up, with as far of ahead he is, you might end up just cutting that scrim at 15 minutes, restarting, etc. I think this gives teams so much more time to figure out how they're going to snowball leads well, how they're going to, again, like a lot of things I've picked on with North America previously have just been like simple wave management, cross-map trading, stuff like that. Try to get that stuff down in a more competitive environment. I absolutely love this for North America. And the last thing I'll say about it is that don't stop being proactive, please. Like, I loved seeing that all tournament long, and I don't want to get into league play and have teams suddenly be super hesitant to make plays.
Just chiming on there, I love the amount of games that's given some of these teams to gel. Like C9, we've seen them grow so much over the course of this tournament. They played 5 games here, 5 games yesterday. They played 3 against TSM. Then they played 4 more in the group stage, right? So they played 17 games. That's almost an entire season of games, normally in the regular season, just slammed in 3 weeks. So I think this is so cool to see, teams getting this opportunity.
And the great thing is, Mark, your incentive is built in because only the good teams get more games. If you get knocked out, you don't
rich get richer, Kobe.
I mean, with all of that, it's so crazy. We haven't even gotten to the changes for the rest of the LCS season that everyone will have to tune in for that. But for now, we are going to head back over to Captain Flowers and Azael for our final check-in on Team Liquid's charity donation, as well as our MasterCard Player of the Week. Take it away, gentlemen.
All right, welcome back, everybody. One last moment here from us as we are going to look at the charitable donation coming through thanks to Team Liquid's victory 3-2 over Cloud9 here in the lock-in tournament. They walk away with the title of lock-in champions as well as $150,000 in cold, hard cash. But more importantly, $50,000 donation to charity of their choice. And that donation will go to the Games and Online Harassment Hotline, a free anonymous text-based service where you can get support from someone within the gaming community.
Always feels great to win some cash as well as supporting a great cause such as that. And $150K, that's a lot of Postmates flowers. People can order a lot of delivery, which all the pros seem to do.
Oh, you had best believe it, my friend. And speaking of good times and good stuff, we got to talk about the... I was setting myself up with good, and good, but then I would have had to say goodest, and that just sucks. So instead, we're just going to backpedal a little bit and say we're going to talk about the best player of the week. In our MasterCard Player of the Week for this finals weekend, the honor is going over to CoreJJ, and I think very few people will be surprised about that when the man is a playmaker and a life taker out there on Summoner's Rift.
Is an absolute beast. I think almost everyone at this point is looking at him as the best player in the league. I do think that the other players on his team deserve a lot of credit for this too. But CoreJJ, as you said, so incredibly consistent. He dominates the map as far as vision control. His engages always feel like they are on point. He is constantly a force of good for TL on the map. Wherever he is going, good things are happening for them. They're taking over areas of the map. They're finding engages. He's saving people from ganks and really has just been such an impressive player for me. But also have to call out their soul laners, who I think were incredible throughout this entire tournament. Alfari in particular really has impressed me. I think he is the best pickup we have seen from anyone in the offseason. Not just how well he played individually, but the different dynamic he brings to Team Liquid. Being able to give him that split push threat on the Camille is pretty huge.
Well, a big congratulations to CoreJJ and the entirety of TL for another impressive performance here in North American League of Legends. We'll see them again once things start up with the regular split next weekend. That's going to do it for Azael and I. Thank you all so much for hanging out with us today and enjoying some League of Legends action. We're tossing it back to the analysts to close out the day.
Thank you so much, good sirs, for bringing all the energy and yet another best of 5 to go the complete distance. With that, we've officially locked up our lock-in tournament, and now it is time for Spring Split, baby. We're going to be jumping right back in next Friday with a full day of matches and keep the action going all week long. So we hope you'll be joining us at the beginning of our regular season. These are the matches you have to look forward to. TSM versus FlyQuest kicking off the day. We've got a match between our semifinalists of EG and 100 Thieves, and then CLG and Dignitas to round things out. I'm asking you first, Kobe, which of these matches has your excitement tingling most?
Well, right in the middle, the meat of the day, the juiciest match has got to be 100 Thieves versus EG. Because if you just look at the lock-in tournament, these are the closest match up at the top of the table, too. Semi-finalists, I want to see what improvements they've made. They got a lot of games to play and test things out, but they also are super hungry still because they obviously did not make it to the finals. So I definitely want to see that match live.
And I think these are two teams that have a really good understanding of kind of like what they want to do and just weren't necessarily able to execute it to the best of their ability. So I want to see how many in-game adjustments they make from the best of 5s we saw these past few days into, single games, which are a lot more punishing, but you can get away with a lot more.
And that LCS opening weekend does begin on Friday, February 5th. Make sure you lock it on your calendar and tune in. I mean, a lot of these teams we saw showing out, but Mark, I feel like we can't discount some of the newer talent that didn't make it to the bracket stage. You know, you had GG kind of showing out a little bit in some of the games. Is there anyone that's kind of invigorated some hope for you to bring those upsets right at the start?
Yeah, I think like Golden Guardians is a team that a lot of us wrote off as 10th, and they might still end up there, but they're not going to be a boring team to watch. We saw them very proactive. We saw them having, a lot of interesting picks on the Rift. Niles is going to play aggressive no matter what. So, I think Golden Guardians, Immortals, Dignitas, some of these teams that people were looking at as developmental rosters are still going to actually be able to take some punches at the best teams in the league.
I also just want to shout out, I saw Dash put in our little messaging group, FlyQuest Jose de Oro. I'm sure there are people in the chat that are super hype about that, but you'll have to hold on to that energy when the matches themselves kick off. That is going to do it for us here, though. On behalf of myself, the casters, and the entire remote broadcast crew, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you later for more LCS. Stick around, though, because Bud Light League Lounge is kicking off with myself, Dash, Freak, and Zale. Until next time, my friends, good morning, afternoon, evening, and good night.